Welcome to your next big win, and we're looking forward to a really great weekend ahead, actually. And that's why in this show we're focused on downtime and how we are our business's most important assets as leaders, entrepreneurs, founders. So it's going to be an interesting show. Mahmood and I have been thinking about how we're going to spend our downtime and what our recommendations would be and why. And we don't know what each other has chosen. So I'm really intrigued to find out. It's going to be good, isn't it, Mahmood?
Absolutely. It's all going to be good, clean fun, folks, here. And perversely, actually, there's a good, solid business case for having downtime. We're going to have a look at some of the science behind that. So we're going to join you in about 20 odd seconds after we hear this wonderful intro song. And here we are back in the room.
So, what's this business case then, Mahmood, about downtime and business success?
Well, there's a received wisdom, if you want to call it that time is money. And I think what that does, it creates in people's mind that you've got to spend every single minute in your business. But actually, that's probably the wrong way to approach it. And the business case is in terms of the positive impact it makes in terms of your brain, your thinking, your creativity, the working on your business and all the rest of it. It leads to better decision making, it leads to better clarity, it leads to better returns, it leads to less mistakes being made. There is more to come there. And if you look at that as a business case proposition here, the return that you get from the actual cost of the investment in terms of that downtime, it's a no-brainer. Excuse that plain words. And for me, overall, there's a solid business case for it.
Yeah, that was a good pun as well. No, I think you're absolutely right. And the work I've done around and creativity and innovation and research into how the brain works, I think that's absolutely right. When we are constantly engaged, figuring stuff out, working on stuff, the brain's sort of in a busy, sort of analytical, get it done sort of mode. And when we go and do something completely different and have that downtime, our creative subconscious, which is always working, it's always there all the time, whatever we're doing, it's busy. It's just we tune into it a bit more, and we can listen in and get some ideas and tune into how we're feeling and be a bit more intuitive about what we need as well. So I think it works from a creativity, innovation, problem solving, brain regeneration, all of those things. It's so important to switch off, and it can be really hard for lots of business owners to do. And I know I'm sure you do too, business owners who have time off and they hate it because like they just don't know what to do with themselves. And some people actually feel a bit down.
100%. It's interesting. When we were discussing the topic about what we should do for this show, and it was coming up to Easter, and we think that would make a good topic. And I was doing some reading and research for it, just thinking, okay, this is intriguing. I applied it to myself, and I'm probably rubbish at taking my own advice. But I was thinking, actually, if I look at all those things like sleep, that's critical, things like time away from the business here, it really feeds in and it re-energizes and adds energy to the brain and that thinking time. And if I think about those times that I'm not spending productively, I'm actually taking a good lesson from this session tonight, actually, and going to be applying it over the next few days myself. But yeah, you're right, Joe. I think it's just because you get stuck into bad habits. I think that's what it is. And when you do take time away, if you're not used to it, it becomes very difficult to suddenly acclimatize. And I would probably say if you are somebody who's not used to taking time away from your business, not having that downtime, do it in micro steps. Even if you just literally take a half a day off when you've never taken anything off before and just do nothing at all, just build up those good habits there. And I think it will make it easier.
Yeah, it's the we become reliant on the dopamine, the feel good, the motivation hormone, and also I think a bit of adrenaline. So it's the hormones that we're creating when we're working so hard are the things that keep us going and keep us motivated, and that's great. And then when we're not doing something, it's sort of like there's nowhere for that to go. There's no reward. There's no So we sort of feel, we can feel a bit flat. I used to feel like that. I don't anymore, actually, but quite a number of years ago, I used to feel like that every time I took time off. I can remember going away for a week and just feeling really flat. I was looking forward to going away. I really needed a break, and those things, and spending time with family was lovely. But I didn't feel fully 100%. And I think it's you're right. Just do small things, a bit of time here and there, and allow yourself time to do a bit of something, right? But not too much of something, just to keep ticking over.
So that's interesting, though, Jay. I mean, what was the turning point for you then, in terms of what made you, if you were like that historically, what was there a turning point, or was it just like you just consciously said, "I need to change this"?
Yeah, I think it was. I needed to change. I mean, we need to think why we do what we do, right? And we don't just go to work and create businesses and be entrepreneurial to be busy. Yes, it's interesting and it's stimulating, and it's enjoyable and it's rewarding. It's all the things, but actually, there's a bigger reason why we do that, and we do it for a great life and for the people that we love, don't we? So it's when it starts to interfere with that, I think, when it starts to, it's compromising my enjoyment, because I didn't feel super great when I was having the time off. So I was enjoying myself, but not as much as I could have been, and would have been normally. So I think it's I decided to sort it out, and it makes a real difference. Some people don't, of course, and I think it's about sort of recognizing, need to take some time out. All the issues that we've got today will still be there tomorrow. Most of them can be sorted out tomorrow or the day after. Not all of them, of course, depends what you do, but most of them, and really learn how to recognize that there will always be more that you want to do than you've got time to do, and it's about priorities.
Yeah, that's a spot on point. And I think within that as well, we think about things that are priority, and in the moment they seem really important here. And I think unless you're like a heart surgeon or somebody who's doing a medical procedure,
Yeah.
things aren't always as critical and vital as we think they actually are. And actually pausing, coming back to it later on. And I think also when you're stuck into something, it's very difficult to realise there's lots of other things going on outside of your own sphere of vision, outside of your immediate horizon. Lots of things that, if I think about the reasons people choose to go in business, it's typically like self-control, have that decision, they can decide how much time they take off there. But what happens is they tend to probably be more enslaved to their businesses, more so than when they're employees, for example.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've heard you say previously in some of our sort of offline conversations about sometimes we become an employee of our own, like literally more of an employee to our own business than we would be if we were an employee to somebody else, because I don't know, it's interesting. I mean, I've always worked hard, whatever I've done. So whether I'm an employee, whether I'm working for my own business, whether I'm studying for something, I'm all in. I really am all in. I really enjoy what I do, and I've been like that since I was a sort of child who my mum would have to come and tell me at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning that it was really time to turn the light out and stop studying and stop doing homework, because I really liked doing my homework.
Yeah, for sure.
I wanted to be good at it, and I wanted to do well. And so I am that there's something in me that's like that, and I think that's true of a lot of entrepreneurs. I'm not saying that a lot of them stay up and study all night, but they work really hard because
There's
they want
there's
to
a work ethic that flows
Yeah.
through that, certainly, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think I started working when I was about probably 11 or 12, starting in terms of earning money and all of that. And you get into that thing. I mean, work has got a lot of positive things here. So, but however, there is a view that your business, however wonderful you find it, it's still there dynamically to actually do things, so you can do them outside of that, in your personal life, whether it's hobbies. And I suppose that leads me neatly on, whether it's hobbies, taking a vacation, just having time off, going to the gym, meditating, have a habit where you're just, self-reflecting, exercising, activity, whatever that thing is that's not business related directly, has a real positive impact. So I think one of the things we wanted to explore today, wasn't it, Joe, is about how people take time off and their things that they like to do. So what is it for you? And then let's think about it for other business owners.
I really enjoy walking and pretty long distance walking, actually. I'm going away to do 126k of the Camino Portugues, which is one of the Camino de Santiago routes in Spain, in May. So I'm doing quite a bit of walking to get some kilometres under my belt and, you know, get ready for it. And it's great. I'll be walking around about, when I actually go away, I'll be walking around about 20 kilometres a day. Sometimes more, and walking, you know, particularly for people with busy brains, I think walking is fantastic. The science shows that walking is fantastic in terms of helping us switch off, think more creatively, you know, be active. It's super good for all the stress hormones, and you know, if you're not a sitter, you know, if you find it hard to do, you know, to sit there and do nothing, I think walking is a really nice thing. And also you've got like fantastic surroundings. Depending on the weather, I might go on the beach or the Cleveland Hills, which are the North York Moors, which are really near to where I live. Fantastic walking.
There's a truth about the walking. I was reading a book called Brain Rules. I can't remember the author directly. And there was a section there they were talking about, if you link us back to the first evolution of man as such, you know, when we were running away from predators and all the rest of it, 12k a day was the average walking distance that people would actually walk here. And I think on average, probably most people don't walk 12 kilometers a day. And then there's that old historical evolutionary link to that level of activity is the optimum for the brain to actually be at its best and all the rest of it. And I think if you go below that level of actual exertion and activity, your brain tends to sort of suffer in some respects as well. So I think you're maintaining that average, Joe.
Yeah, it's well. The thing is, my challenge is I'm inconsistent. So I'll have days where I'm sitting down all day, and then on a Saturday I'll go out, you know, and blast the hills or whatever, for hours. So I think I could do a bit more consistent. But you're right, we are animals, and you know, and walking makes a big difference. There's also a study done recently which shows that actually the movement of the legs, the large muscles in the legs, is really good for forming new neural connectivity in the brain, and just walking generally stimulates the brain, and also eye movement. So because we're passing scenery as we're walking, and we're taking it sort of like scenery on the move, that is really good for resetting the brain and for a healthy brain as well. So
I think especially I think if you look at electronic devices, technology, social media, our brains interact with that sort of device in a much more different way that random. So I think it's probably a good way to get back to that original way that our eyes and brain should be working.
And being in nature.
Yeah.
There's the Japanese concept of forest bathing, but being where there's green, where you can see the horizon, perhaps near the sea, you know, the ions that are around. This is all sort of scientifically supported. You know, really, really are good for us. So walking for me. What about for you?
Great question. I'd probably say it's a combination of walking and cycling is my preferred movement. So I like cycling. So occasionally I have been known, I'm getting better at it, of cycling to work. So cycling is a good way to for me to exercise. I like going to the gym, more steam room, sauna, sort of bit of workout there as well. I don't actually, it's weird actually, I don't actually look forward to going there necessarily, but I love it at the outcome here. And I'm getting better now to reframe that thing of, just like in business, to say the steps you've got to do to get that good outcome. I actually look at those as positive things. I also occasionally like being a couch potato, like watching box sets, only because I don't get a lot of chance to actually watch a lot of TV or do nothing as such. So actually doing nothing, enjoying my garden, enjoying the house, having a look around the neighbourhood where I live, all the rest of it, those are things that I enjoy doing as well.
Yeah.
And reading.
Yeah, I find like with the garden, I find gardening really therapeutic. And I had a period, as you know, where I was quite unwell last summer, and I've never really gardened before. I've had a garden, but the sort of
Yeah.
minimal attention needing things in it that sort of survive whatever. And for the first year last year, first time ever, I grew loads of stuff. I had for about 50, 60 sunflowers I'd grown from seed, and sweet peas and flowers and flowery things, loads and loads and loads of them. And they were an absolute joy. It was a real, I don't know, I think it sort of helped so much with not feeling well, and being unwell and need it and that sort of thing. It just sort of took my mind off all of that and was really, really brilliant. So yeah, I've planted about 50 sunflower seeds, and I've got a lot more to do this weekend as well. So I'm looking forward to getting outside and doing some of that.
Have you cut your lawn already?
Sorry?
Have you cut your lawn if you have a lawn?
A lawn, we have got a lawn. I don't do lawns. So
Okay.
I do the nice bits of gardening, which are getting little pots and putting soil in it, planting seeds and doing some watering. Anything that's more industrial than that, then that's where John comes in, and he's very good. He'll say, do you need a hole digging, love? And then he'll ask me to point where I need the hole, and the hole gets dug. So I'm very lucky. Yeah.
Everyone needs a John. It's weird, strange that, folks. If you're listening to this, this is not like a gardening program for the sake of it.
It's not Gardener's World, no.
But it's a real positive thing. I mean, I'd love to hear your thoughts, by the way. So, how you spend your downtime? Do you actually agree that downtime is a good thing for your business and in terms of your energy levels and all the rest of it? So, how is it you spend your sort of free time? And if you're thinking, I don't actually like physical exertion, you could have horrible flashbacks going back to school. It's not so much the thing. It's got to be active or walking. It's got to be running. It's got to be doing something that gets you out of your immediate environment, something that ideally connects you to nature. There's a lot of science, by the way, behind the benefits of tree hugging and feeling things under your foot and feeling things here that are therapeutic. Where 5-minute meditation, whatever it is, you've got to do something that's not just completely business or work focused.
Yeah, and then you come back at it so much fresher and with a different perspective and less resentful. I think sometimes we can get, even though it's self-inflicted, we can get resentful about our business because we're working so hard at it, wanting to be successful, but then we don't have the freedom we don't feel like we've got the freedom to go and do the things that we want. Well, look, nobody's going to just come along and give it to us. We've got to organise these things for ourselves and take charge of it and have a sense of more agency and empowerment over our time.
It's interesting that as well, Joe, because I think when people become resentful about things that are happening in their business, and they are sometimes the drivers and the reasons behind that, it's very difficult to keep that bottled up, and it can seep out in terms of how you interact with people, how you interact with clients, how you interact with your own team. And where you're thinking you're being quite relaxed and all the rest of it, it can come out quite terse, can come out quite snappy, and it can come out as not a true representation of what you are like yourself here. And that's signs and symptoms that say, something is afoot and all the rest of it. And it's not a sign of weakness, folks, to actually say, I need to not work as hard. I need to, sometimes it's about working smarter, not longer hours, but actually shorter hours being more effective. And all those elements that we've talked about here come into that. So yeah, don't give yourself a hard time, and don't think it's a negative or a sign of weakness if you do take time off.
Yeah, I think, and it's about being a good role model for people who work with you as well, and maybe work for you if it's your company. That do you want people to look up at you and and they're thinking, well, this is how I need to behave, or this is what success looks like. Are you a good role model for success? Are you doing the things that you would want people in your family to do? If your son or daughter or whoever was working that hard without a break, would you be happy with that? And if not, then that's needs changing, doesn't it? And even if it's only a bit of time away, it doesn't have to be loads and loads of time. A bit of time away makes a big difference, I think.
And if we go back to the original proposition about the business case, if we look at the business owner, within their own business. Okay, that's probably the singular most vital asset in the business here. We wouldn't necessarily balk at the idea of, you know, keeping physical equipment and machinery up to date, repair it, maintaining it, making sure it's well lubricated, making sure it's well looked after. But for the single most important asset ourselves, we tend not to pay it the same level of attention.
Yeah,
Which
I
sounds a bit
agree.
strange.
And there might be people who are watching and listening thinking, well, it's easy, you know, it's all right saying that, but actually we've got tough economic situation. You know, some businesses are doing well and some businesses are struggling. It depends what you do, where you're doing it, and all of those things, doesn't it? So yeah, if you know, when businesses are finding it tough, I know it sounds like a hard thing to say, but it's still important to take a bit of time off, isn't it, and get a sense of perspective.
Yeah, I think to square the circle on that, Joe. I mean, you've been in business a long time. I've been in business nearly 30 years. And if I look at it, if you've got what I call a good sense of planning and know what that future looks like, if you've got a sense of idea about how you're going to get to your destination, how you're going to progress, you've got a good idea of what's going on there. Actually, taking time off doesn't disrupt it. Taking time off doesn't destabilize it. If you think that taking time off, everything's going to come crashing down, and then the risk is sounding quite brutal, then I would say you need to look at how your business is structured, because there may be issues and sort of weaknesses in there that you need to fix if it's such that you can't take time away if everything's going to collapse as a result of it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And you know, if you're working on you might say, well, I'm working on my own. I'm a solopreneur, and so how can I, you know? Well, I think it's about letting customers know that you'll be away, letting them know in advance. So planning some time off, planning it in advance. Trying to take time off when you know loads of other people are taking time. So Easter weekend is great, Christmas is great, you know, middle of August, fantastic. They tend to be typically quieter times. Obviously, if your business is selling ice cream on the beach, then you know, hopefully you're going to be really busy and you'll be quieter at the time. So you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, so but think about when are your quieter times, proactively plan for those. And if you truly are a one person business, then let people know, and let people know well in advance. And I think people are really supportive. I find when I tell my customers that I'm going away and that, you know, members of the team are going away, they're really supportive of that, and they're you know, respectful of that. We want each other to have our holidays, don't we? We don't, you know, we all want that for each other, whether we're a customer, a friend, or you know, or what. So yeah.
And if you've got, I mean, look, clients are an interesting proposition. If you've got clients who aren't receptive to that idea and say you need to be at their beck and call, then I think you probably need to reflect and reconsider your relationship with that client if they're actually sort of adding to your business and whether you're a good fit with them as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's weird. I mean, I don't wish this on anybody. So it's just like, I suppose, parallels. If you were involved in an accident or something happened and you broke your leg or something made you incapacitated. I remember last year I had a prolapse disc, so I had no choice. I was out of the game. I couldn't do anything. Well, if that happens, you can't physically do anything. And if you don't not have that time off, whether it's, you know, and do something to de-stress yourself, you're going to get potentially cardiovascular problems. You're going to get potential problems in your health, your well-being, your stress levels are going to go up, and that's not a good look.
No, it's so I mean, whichever way we look at it, it stacks up. It stacks up to take time off, to sometimes do it impromptu if you can. If you get a spare, you know, if you get a bit of time that you weren't expecting, grab it and either do something really super productive with it, or have a bit of time off and go and do some, you know, have a bit of time for you, or plan that time in, because it will accelerate your growth. It will look after you. It'll look after your loved ones, and you know, we'll get there. I call it going slower to get there faster.
It's interesting. When I was doing some prep for this show, Joe, there's a couple of things. I'm going to ask you a question in a second. Is it was saying that when you take that time away from your business, it could be, for example, going to networking events. It could be like, you know, socializing, meeting friends and family. And I also talk about hobbies. So I know that you are a very talented artist as such. So do you get a lot of time to spend on that? I'll call it a hobby for whatever better description. Do you get a lot of time to spend on that hobby?
Yeah. Thank you. I wouldn't say I'm talented. I'm an enthusiastic. Yeah, I enjoy doing it, and I do mixed media art, and I enjoy the process rather than what I create at the end. And sometimes I quite like what I create at the end, but that's a bonus rather than the reason for itself. I just like, splodging a load of paint and glue and things all over the place. So I think I will do some. I've not done some for a little while. My creativity comes out in different ways. So I've started a walking blog.
Okay.
So and yeah, so I've been capturing my walks and blogging about great walks. So that's a creative outlet. Gardening is a creative outlet, So I think it's as long as you've got something and creating just for the sake of creating in the process of doing things. I'm not an expert gardener, I'm a really slow walker. I can't go as far as other people. So what? Who cares, right? It's my art isn't going to sell loads and be in the Saatchi gallery or whatever. It's just doing things that bring you joy to do for the simple pleasure of doing it without any outcome. In business, we're striving for outcomes. And we're trying to get to the next level, the next thing, land the next customer, get, all the things. And to contrast that and look after ourselves, we need to do things that don't have an outcome, that just bring us joy just to do them.
Thanks for a second. But there is a business parallel there. I think in business, when you think about success, the success you should define should be your definition of success, not somebody else's. And when you're doing things in a outside of that business environment, whether it's painting, walking, whether it's watching TV, exercising on a bike, whatever, it's the enjoyment that it brings to you. It doesn't really matter about what somebody else might be doing it slightly differently.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and that's what makes everything so interesting and fun. And it's wonderful how many like-minded people there are as well, and you can connect to make friends. I through my art, I've made lots of friends around the world through Instagram, and I want some people are really, really good, but nobody's like a big famous artist. But we all support each other, send each other stuff, cheer each other on, and that's really nice, And nobody cares what you do for a living at all.
100%. It's irrelevant, isn't it?
Yeah.
So Jo, as far as we've bumped into you there. You go first.
No, after you.
So I was going to say that as we come to a conclusion, and folks, by the way, if you want to put a hashtag replay in there, share your thoughts, comments, how you relax, what you think about it all, what your hobbies are. If you're going to be able to take any downtime, we'd love to read those comments. How is your next few days going to go for you as we're coming up to Good Friday and Bank Holiday?
Well, I haven't got any concrete plans, only that I'm not going to go very far, and it depends on the weather. And if it's super rainy, then I'll be doing lots of art and indoor stuff. And if there's some sunshine, I'll be doing some walks and do some gardening. And I'll probably be doing a bit of work to tick over. But the sort of work I do in these times is things I enjoy doing, and that are like planning and the creative thinking side for the business rather than jobs.
Yeah, rather than client work as such.
Yeah. What about you?
I'm very similar, actually. My staff team, for some reason, they want to take bank holiday off and enjoy themselves, which is really reckless. But no, they've all. I've given out all the Easter eggs and various things for them today. They're going to be taking Good Friday and Monday off, which is great for me in a sense. I'm going to come into the office for a couple of hours tomorrow, but it's doing the stuff that I want to do. I've got a couple of conversations with people here. Going to be working on some writing, some planning, and all the rest of it. I'll pop into the office on Saturday again, and I'm probably going to be working from home for a couple of hours on Monday. But it's the things that I want to do, the things to get put on the back burner. So it'll be a combination of things. Obviously, there will be some Easter eggs that get consumed. There'll be food that will be consumed. I'm sure that I can open up a couple of bottles of something to celebrate with Cerelia, so enjoy the garden. Sunday, by the way, is meant to be one of the sunny days, 15 degrees C. It's meant to be with no rain. That's certainly what the prediction of the weather is.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't know what it's going to be like in the frozen wastes of the north and all the rest of it, but apparently it's going to be good. So I think it's going to be a good bank holiday.
I'm just going to let that wash all over me. Anyway, but if Sunday's nice, then Sunday sounds like the walking day. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So, well, look, I hope you have an amazing, amazing break wherever you are, whatever you're celebrating or not. Just maybe it's just a standard weekend for you, but standard weekends we only get so many a year, and
100%.
they're all precious too. So whatever you're doing, thank you very much for joining us and watching. And yeah, we hope you have some downtime, and we'd love to hear about it.
Absolutely. And if Alan Titchmarsh is listening, by the way, if you've got any gardening tips to share with Joy, with Jo even, and you would like her on your programme, just give us a shout, and I'm sure we can make it ready.
Yeah.
Get your
I'm more of a Monty Don fan.
Oh, sorry, Alan Titchmarsh, you've been dropped. Monty Don, if you're listening, give us a call.
Yeah.
Take care, folks. Have a
Bye.
good week, a few days.